What's up, sir? Sir Dave, what's going on? Yes, on time today, man. No excuses. It's Sunday. What's going on? What's going on, Tylen? Devin, what's going on, Dev? See, we make some money today. I did cash in a few GPPs last night on both DraftKings and Fanduel. Nothing big because there's really nothing really big to play for unless you're gonna play the 5K. But I still got some cash. Made a little bit of money. Good enough for to take care of business for the next day. That's the beauty of it. I'm keeping that bankroll good, getting ready for football. Doug, what's going on? Yeah, WNBA has been really crazy, man. I don't know. I'll do the best I can to give you the best possible advice, but yeah, MLB has been. I've been a little up and down with MLB this year too. I've had some moments, but nothing big on GPPs. But MLB, if you're having a rough go the last few days, that's what you can do. When you have a rough go playing 2 or 3 different sports on fantasy sports, you definitely should try to change it up, maybe play a day. That's why I only play MLB now, like if there's no WNBA. Or if there's a 1-game slate, I may I might look into the MLB and do a couple of games. But right now, I'm just gearing up for football. What's up? What's up? Yeah, that's a good question you bring out there, man. That was one of my concerns too, man. Sir, you just brought up something that's a really good point. There's gonna probably be some players sitting out today, and that's what's gonna make this even more hard to choose. But I think if we're gonna go and think that route as a community, I think we definitely should be thinking, hey, you know what? Let's try to get some players that normally don't play enough minutes, and maybe sprinkle those guys, those particular players, those girls in there in some of the lineups. Well, that's good. Hey, it's good to hear, Doug, that you're into the NFL and NBA. Those are my two favorite. I'm actually a baseball guy. I coached travel baseball for 16 years. I had my own travel baseball program. I shut it down about 3 years ago because my little guy was turning 5, and I felt like I was spending too much time with other people's boys and not with my own. And so I had to just basically, start shutting that down slowly but surely. I still do some little coaching here and there, make a few bucks, but nothing crazy. It's just helping out kids for an hour, a little training. But I love when it comes to fantasy sports, and as far as sports in general, I mean, football and basketball, NBA and NFL have been where I've made most of my money in, to be totally honest with everybody, so I look forward to that. And plus, there's a lot better contests. You really are shooting for some serious money every single night in the in the NBA. Let me just move this over here. Let me pop out this chat. Let's move it over here. All right, now we good. So, what we got going today? 5 games, man. There was 6. All 12 teams were playing today. Obviously, the other game is going on. I think it's wrapping up right about now. I haven't even checked in on it. I believe LA and Connecticut were playing at 3, I believe. So, anybody knows what's going on with that game? I did not check on it all this time. I've been up and down, man. This was a busy weekend for me, man. My oldest son got married on Friday, and it was a rough Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday prepping for that. And then I'm still recovering from just, getting home late Friday night. And then, of course, straining out some things around the house yesterday. So, but I'm good to go. Tomorrow I should be good to go. Thailand, can I do a video on bankroll management? Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I may do that. This week, I'm definitely going to be working on some videos. I want to do a video, obviously, on some strategies that I normally use and a lot of people use for NFL. And I'm going to try to put that together over the next couple of days, and then probably have that out before the week is over. And then sometime towards the end of the week as well, I plan to have a video that I'm going to do on what is my take and what is my look on some of the key positions this year, like which players to look for in fantasy football this year. And I'll do the same again when the NBA starts rolling in. But I will be doing that in the next few over the next few days. Hopefully by the time the week is over, those 2 videos will be up for you guys to take a look at, especially for those new players, people that are new to DFS or to the NFL. Definitely, that's something you should definitely look at before you get going. All right, let's look at the slate. Well, so we got 5 games. We got New York at Phoenix. I mean, I said in an earlier video, I'm gonna basically go over all the players that I discussed earlier because I was looking at them and they basically are the best matchups and the best plays today. But like my concerns were also is that some players may be sitting or might not play a whole lot of minutes considering it's the last game of the season, and more importantly, the teams that are playoff, that are already locked in for the playoffs, more than likely those, especially those that are not changing positions. I think which Washington and Minnesota, there could be a possibility there. There might be some people that may sit. I don't know. Dallas, Seattle, I doubt. I think Dallas wants to go out there and probably beat Seattle. So I think that's going to be an interesting game today. New York, Phoenix, you never know. I mean, I like Taurasi and I love Griner as a team stack today. I think they match up great against New York. Obviously, New York is in bad shape. I know New York is going to try to probably play. They're going to play hard. They always do. They're just like Indiana. But I could see myself going with Taurasi in the New York game, and I like Griner. The numbers are just so good. The only thing is blowout potential there for one, and then 2, you just don't know if these girls are going to be on the court that long. That's the whole thing, especially knowing that this is the final game of the season. So you don't need your studs to be out there that long. So that's a big concern for me. So that's what's going to make it tricky here today. It's just you don't know if the stud players are going to be out there long. So if you're not going to go with the Taurasi or something like that, or even Bonner or even Griner for Phoenix, then you're going to have to start thinking of Talbert, Lalani Mitchell. You got to go down to that bottom tier of girls. So we go New York, Phoenix. Like I said, Taurasi I think is the best play. Bonner is definitely in play too. These girls have been just like, they've been dominant. The last couple of games, they've been really, really coming together. Something tells me Phoenix will play these girls for quite a bit of minutes today, simply because they're trying to get themselves back to where they should be at going into the playoffs. They want to keep that momentum going. So I can see Phoenix and their coach keeping Taurasi, Bonner, and Griner playing, good amount of minutes today, easily maybe close to 30 minutes, as opposed to sitting them out if the game is even a little bit of a blowout. At least that's just my feeling on it, just simply because, and that's the same way I feel for Dallas. Dallas needs to get that momentum going. I think Dallas will play their key players for as long as they can today. Knowing you're going to have a couple of days off, you need to get that momentum back as far as Dallas is concerned. I think the same thing with Phoenix after being in such a, bad stretch there towards the last few games. Indy and Chicago, these guys just played last night, so that's tough there. I still like Vandersloot. I mean, she's just an energizer bunny. Diamond DeShields is just rock solid. I still like Tiffany Mitchell for today as well. I told you guys yesterday I love Tiffany Mitchell as a sneak play. She went off. She had a great game. Erica Wheeler, also had a very good game yesterday, so you can also consider her today. But they played 50 minutes. They had a double overtime game yesterday, so it's hard to determine if Indy's going to have all their key players in today or Chicago. But given that both teams are going to be out for the remainder of the year, this is it. This is the last game for them for the entire season. I can see them balling out and seeing, especially that Chicago has won 2 games. I think Indiana feels like, hey, you know what? We want to go into their building and we want to try to get a win. So definitely I like Dupree. Definitely I like Echan, where they both had solid games yesterday for Indy. I kind of told you guys that the Indy front court is probably a little bit better than the backcourt going against Chicago. And Chicago backcourt is better than their front court. And it's no different today. So as far as value in this game, obviously the best value is Coates. McCall is still in play, but I was looking at numbers earlier, and Coates is just playing more on average, more minutes, and she's being more involved in the rotation here as far as coming off the bench. So I think Elena Coates is definitely the best play at 3,500 apiece. But then again, the massive minutes that the front court played yesterday for Indiana, you may see McCall, who played only like 3 minutes yesterday, which was a shock, or something like 3 or 4 minutes. She may get a lot more minutes today. So definitely, she may be someone to consider today, and maybe even Mavunga, if they really want to rest Dupree and Achanwa. They played a lot of minutes yesterday to put up some really serious big numbers yesterday. So be careful with that game, but I think obviously Dupree and Achanwa are still in play, and I like Tiffany Mitchell. In the Atlanta-Las Vegas game, I can see Atlanta resting a few players, to be honest with you. I mean, I think they already locked in pretty much second if I didn't look at the standings, but I think they have. And Atlanta, if they lock that in, I think they're good to go. But I definitely like KP, Kelsey Plum. McBride has had some really rough games against Atlanta, and the longest Atlanta is playing with Tiffany Hayes up front, Miss Sykes, and Renee Montgomery, they're going to be a little tough on Kayla McBride. They're going to try to let not her beat them, but let maybe KP beat them or Asia Wilson. And Asia Wilson has had a rough go with this team too. So I'm actually being honest with you guys. I think we should fade McBride and Wilson today. I think the matchup is not there for them today, and unless Atlanta definitely sits some players, and it's hard to determine if that's going to be the case. But I think Atlanta will want to go into the playoffs with a win after they just lost their previous game. So I like KP as a pretty sneaky. 7,000 is expensive for her, but she may have a good game if they really concentrate more on not letting McBride beat them like they did in the last game they played. KP had a big game. I think she scored 40 somewhat fantasy points or more. You could see that happening again, and she's shooting really, really well. So definitely be on the lookout for her. I like Alex Bentley, like I said earlier in the video earlier today. Alex Bentley, I like at 5,600. She's had some solid games. I'm looking here. Bentley put up 42 spot events versus Las Vegas the last time out and 20 in the first game, and she shot 44%, 53% against Las Vegas so far this year, which is really, really great. So Alex Bentley could be a very sneaky play here, and she loves to play against tough teams. She loves that competition. So I would say be on the lookout for Miss Bentley. And then, of course, Montgomery's always in play simply because she can light it up any given day. She could put up 35, 40 for you any given day, and then, of course, she could be a dud. So it's Russian roulette with her, but, I mean, you know what? She has the upside. She's in a game where, as far as Vegas is concerned, Vegas does not defend well in the backcourt. Because they are this pace team. Atlanta's pace has been up quite a bit as of late. So, I mean, they may want to go and do that run and shoot with these guys. So, Renee Montgomery, that's perfect for her with popping and shooting. And same with Alex Bentley. So, those two girls for me are in play. On the bottom tier here, obviously, Miss Jefferson is still in play. Like I said in the earlier video, I mean, she is pretty good. She gets 14, 15, sometimes 18 minutes. And majority of the time she puts up 1 fantasy point per minute. And you cannot pass up someone like that at 3,600. She doesn't have tremendous upside. You're not going to pay 36 for her and get 25, but she can get you close to that fantasy point per minute. That frees up a little bit of money to go somewhere else. In the front court in this game, I really Asia Wilson will always be in play, but this matchup is a tough one for her. I don't care if there's Angel McCoughtry out there, and I don't care if Breland and Williams had a rough go with Phoenix the other day. These girls are tough, man, defending. So it's going to be a tough go for her. She didn't have great games against this team this year, but in the meantime, Breland has played well, especially in the last game against Las Vegas. She's shooting 63%. The last few games, and against this team, she shot 43%, man. And I love Miss Will. I love E. Will a little bit more at 6,600. 43 spot in the last game, like I said earlier in the earlier video, and she has had 5 straight games at 24 plus, which is above her average. So I mean, she is solid here. I can see where she can have a nice game more so than Breland at that price. So Elizabeth Williams to me is definitely someone in play. Swords is always in play, and Hamby are both in play simply because they need some bangers in here. And Hamby is not afraid to get under the boards and battle, and neither is Carolyn Swords. The only problem is that Carolyn Swords gets into a lot of foul problems. That's the problem, So someone to consider there. Carolyn Swords, Hamby, to me, a low value place here, at least in this mid-tier level. If you're looking for someone at 4K, I think one of these two girls can have a good game here for Las Vegas. I'm definitely fading Asia Wilson. Maybe I'll be wrong and she'll throw up 55. We know she's capable of hitting 50. She has that upside, but I think the matchup with Breland and Williams may be a bit much. And then again, this is all if Breland and Williams do play the entire game, and it's hard to gauge, Let's go to Washington, Minnesota. Could be a great game if these teams play with their starters throughout the whole game. This could be one of the more competitive games of the night, on top of seeing how well Dallas reacts with Seattle, them being the 8th seed and Seattle being the number 1 seed. But in this game here, Christy Tolliver in play, no doubt about it. I like Miss Cloud. Double A, I would think she should just rest. It doesn't matter if she's even in. I don't think I would advise anybody to take Double A here, Ariel Atkins, So I like Christy Tolliver here. It's a good matchup for her against Minnesota. I always pick on Minnesota guards, even though Minnesota's guards and the whole entire Minnesota defense has been rock solid over the last 4 or 5 games or so. I still think they're matching up these two girls. They shoot the three-pointer well. Now, granted, Minnesota is not a bad three-point defending team. They're coming into this game. They are only allowing 34%, or actually Washington is allowing less, but we don't have to worry about that with Minnesota, because Minnesota is not a three-point shooting team. So I like the advantage that they have there with these girls that shoot the rock quite a bit from three-point range. Like Tolliver takes about 6 or 7 a game, and Natasha Cloud has been really good too. So you could take your pick here. I don't think you can go wrong with either one of these girls. Tolliver 30+ in 3 straight games. She's been shooting 45% and 37% from the floor. And in the games against Minnesota, she's shooting 58% from the floor and 58% from 3, and averaging nearly 29 fantasy points per game, which is pretty much just a little bit higher than her average. Obviously, this price is not going to, she's not going to smash value. But Natasha Cloud at 6,200, her numbers look just as good. Against Minnesota, she's shooting 52%. Okay? And she's been shooting in the last several games. She had a 34 spot against Minnesota the first time, and the last game, and then the first game 33 fantasy points in game 1. She's played well against these guys. So Natasha Cloud could be someone, and she's a good 3-point shooter as well. So I like those two there. On the bottom tier here, obviously Ms. Wright is definitely in play. Now, granted, I have these girls up here. This is a lineup I drew together. I have not completed this lineup. So don't take this lineup here and just start throwing it in there. I like Stewart and Griner, as you can see. All right, so I know this is here. I normally clear these. I make a few of them, and then at the last minute, I change them in that 15, 20 minutes. So this one is one that I'm not sure of. But, I don't want anybody to take this and run with it, because that was from first look earlier. But over here at the bottom tier, as a matter of fact, let me just clear it so this way nobody has to worry about it. But Tanisha Wright here is in play, man. She's playing these minutes for Will Robinson, who's got hurt, and she's been playing massive minutes. And I think that she's someone that you can consider. 3,600, why not? She's not that expensive. She's playing enough minutes, and she's capable of getting you 30. So Miss Wright is definitely someone to consider here in the lower part of in that 30 or 3,000 range as far as value is concerned. Over here in the front, man, this is really in. I've been blown away. I think they're giving us, they're either drawing us in to take fouls and more at these prices, because these prices are kind of low for these girls. A little bit low. Maya Moore and Sylvia Fowles, even Della Don. These ladies. Sylvia Fowles, 8,100. I like her today a lot over Della Don. Della Don has had her issues with Minnesota. I think it's a bad matchup for her. As much as I think she's a nice looking lady, this is a tough matchup. Sylvia Fowles has been really fantastic as of late. Granted, she only put up 37 in 24 minutes against Connecticut, but she's had 44 in 34 minutes against this team, and 33 in game 1 in 32 minutes, more than 1 fantasy point per minute. And in the last 3 games, her field goal percentage is 62%, and averaging about 47 or 48 fantasy points a game during that stretch. And at home, she's even better than she is on the road as far as field goal percentage. She's 62%, just like she has been in the last 3 games. And she's averaging 13 rebounds. 13 rebounds at home. And against Washington, she's put up 70% field goal percentage and 10 rebounds per game in 2 games. So, she has been pretty solid. I like that price for her at 8,100. I think that's kind of a little bit of a bargain. I would take Fowles easily here. I think she's definitely someone to consider here in the front court. I'm fading Della Don today. Her numbers have been good, but not better than Fowles. Not in the last few games, and not against Minnesota. Minnesota is really tough up front. Maya Moore at 7,500. Hey, man, granted, the last time they played each other, she didn't play well against Washington, but these games were way back. We're talking about early June. the last time they played. And her field goal percentage has been really good. Last 3 games, field goal percentage 57% and 52% from 3. That is way above her average for the year. She has been really, really picking it up as of late. All right. So, granted, against Washington, she only shot 45% and only 26% from 3 in those 2 matchups. Really, really poor games. But again, they were way back. I kind of like where she's at right now. I kind of like the way Minnesota is really coming together here as of late, defensively, and as well as these girls up front. So you could take your pick. I mean, it's hard to gauge or take fouls and more at the same time. But, I mean, either one of these girls could go off. I'm more in favor of fouls today. Normally, I'm usually with Maya Moore simply because she takes more shots. But either or, I think are good plays. And then when it comes to Washington, the only one I kind of like is Latoya Sanders. Sanders at 7,400 is still a little pricey, but she gets you 1 solid fantasy point per minute per game, all right? In the last 3 games, she's shooting 44% with 10 rebounds on average and 2.5 blocks. So she's been pretty solid. And, she shoots 62% away from home. So she's on the road. Her field goal percentage even goes up higher. And she's averaging nearly 27 fantasy points per game on the road. In that one game against Minnesota, which was way back, she was not a part of the starting lineup yet. This was way June. It's like June 7th, June 8th. I mean, this is a while ago. And she only played 16 minutes and got 17.5 fantasy points in 16 minutes. More than 1 fantasy point per minute. And they only seen her for that 15 minutes, and now she's an integral part of this team. I think Latoya Sanders could be a really, really dangerous play here today, and can definitely make this into an even more difficult game and more challenging for Minnesota with her up front now, and they haven't seen her all this time. So Latoya Sanders, someone to consider. Down here in the bottom tier, I kind of like T-Hawk. She's back. She put up some nice she put a little bit, 15 minutes, and she put up 18 fantasy points the other day. So I think 3,700, she's one of the better value plays here in this matchup and in the slate itself. Okay, so definitely she is someone to consider. All right, and then we're going into the final game. The best place here, I'm loving Diggins Smith here because Diggins Smith has been really, really been tough on Dallas, on Seattle. Diggins Smith. She's coming in at 7,300. You need about 37 for her. She's averaging 35. She has hit 31 or better in 4 straight games. Now check this out. Against Seattle, she's shooting 50% from the floor and almost 31% from 3. So she's struggling a little bit on the 3, but 81% from the free throw line. You can't get her on the free throw line because she shoots the ball from the free throw line very well. All right? But she put up a 30, a 50, and a 53 in 3 games. Over 130 fantasy points in 3 games against this team. It seems like she has Seattle's number. So I am definitely in favor of Diggins Smith today. And I remember in the first 2 meetings they had, I had gone and I told you guys, if you go back to my earlier videos on the WNBA season, you're gonna see that I had favored Jewel Lloyd because of her quickness, her style of play. But for whatever reason, they seem to clamp down on Lloyd and make it difficult on her. She has not played well against this team in all 3 games. Diggins Smith is definitely a nice play here. All right, so Diggins Smith. I'm not on Lloyd or Bird, and I kind of like Alicia Gray here too at 5,400. Let's put it this way. I like the Dallas backcourt, and I like Seattle's front court in this matchup. And I said it earlier in the earlier video. So definitely Alicia Gray in play as well for me too. 29 plus in the last 3 games, so she's doing very, very well. All right, and then we go to the front court. These are steals right here. I mean, Cam Page at 8,200. They got it. Fanduel must know something. Chances are probably these girls are not playing a whole lot. Maybe that's the reason why. Cam Page at 8,200 is a steal. 8,200, you need pretty much 41, and she's averaging 42.5, and she's capable of getting you 60 or better. I mean, that's like highway robbery. Why we would not want to pencil her in, or Miss Breanna Stewart. I'm loving Breanna Stewart here at 7,900 in this matchup. If they're gonna play and they're not gonna sit and eat any minutes on the bench, I'm definitely all over Breanna Stewart. 7,900 for Breanna Stewart. That is incredible. She's averaging 42, and at 79, you really need only 39 to meet value. She should be able to crush value. She's hit 50 plus in 2 straight games. In her 3 meetings against Dallas, she's put up 100 and almost 60 total points. 51, 56, and 52 in 3 games. I mean, you can't pass her up. I mean, she's too cheap. 7,900. Now, unless Fanduel knows something that we don't know, this leads me to be a little speculative, and right away I'm thinking, hey, maybe they know that maybe she's not going to play a whole lot of minutes. Maybe that's the reason why she's a little cheaper. They're baiting us in. So 7,900. I still love that price. I'm all over Breanna Stewart. The numbers have been great. 48% in the last 3 games, 48% shooting percentage, and 63% from three. She's been fantastic. Natasha Howard, same thing, more than 1 fantasy point per minute. She's just like Miss Sanders. She's just like Jonquel Jones. They give you minimal minutes, and they give you a lot of production. Natasha Howard, 7,400 in play for me too. 6 out of her last 8 games, 31 plus. And she's great for 1 fantasy point per minute, like you guys always hear from me. I always tell you. She's a good, decent cash play if you're going to play cash, because she's pretty consistent. And the games against Dallas, 29, 24, and 38. So she's had decent games, and all of them were 1 fantasy point per minute. So she's definitely hands down in play. Johnson, Stevens, I'm not undone. I kind of like Kayla Thornton's results that she's gotten against Seattle. She had a 30 spot in 37 minutes in the last game, and 28 in game 2 in 30 minutes. Game 1, she only played 15 minutes. I mean, she played 20 minutes, and she got 15 points. So I'm going to bear it. I'm going to take this as the last 2 games, and then knowing that in the last 3 out of the 6 games she has been at least hitting her average, so she could be a little sneaky play. Keep her in consideration here. They're going to need some help up front if they do play this game out. So Kayla Thornton in play, and then I'm not on anybody else, man. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much where I'm at. I mean, as far as plays, I mean, let me just get back to you guys a little bit here, try to help you guys out. The rematch between Indy and Chicago. Yeah, I would think. These 2 teams were just gonna battle again, man. I mean, they had a great game yesterday. They played 2 quarters more. They played 2 overtime periods. Got another 10 more minutes in there. I'm just a little concerned. Dupree is an older player, and then you got Ichan. Well, they played massive minutes yesterday, and they put up massive points for their team on a losing effort. Who knows? They may say, hey, you know what, coach, let us play, man. This is the final game of the season. I want to just go out there and try to kick some butt and win this game. So, yeah, that's going to be an interesting game. Are Phoenix, Atlanta and Phoenix are the best plays for today's WNBA. Yeah, well, I like Phoenix. Definitely the best plays if they play the entire game. I can see, and they have a tendency to. That's why I'm leaning more towards them. I like Griner. I like a team stack of Griner and Taurasi, but you could go Bonner, Taurasi, you could go Bonner, Griner. I mean, it'll be tough to get all 3 of them in your lineup, and then if the game ends up being a blowout. But New York has a tendency of playing teams fairly well all year long. They're a really, really gutsy, hard-playing team. Everybody comes out and plays hard, so I could see them playing into the 3rd quarter, still being a little competitive. But we'll see. Phoenix has been playing really, really well the last few games, so my concerns are with that. Chicago will play some bench players mostly. India, yeah, that's the possibility. It could be the possibility in over every one of these games. I could see that happening. If anybody has nothing to play for. I think somebody did mention here that Washington has a chance to move up. So Washington has something to play for. So that will end that. So Minnesota, is going to get a battle there. But I think Atlanta has the 2nd position locked in. So I don't think they need to play everybody. And who knows, Las Vegas may give some kids, some of the players a break. Maybe Indy and Chicago, same thing there, simply because they did play 50 minutes of basketball yesterday. JT says Breanna Stewart is going to be in the bench. Yeah, I mean, it could. Again, I just mentioned that can be the possibility. Those numbers are so low that's the one thing that draws me to believe that chances are some of these people are not going to be in play. So it's just a risky day, But hey, no risk, no reward. So I mean, I think I'm going to have her. I have her actually penciled in 1 or 2 of my lineups. I think I'm going to keep her there. I'm only playing $1.25 games because there's really no contests here unless you're going to play straight up head-to-head or 50-50s. Well, okay, so the coach says, all right, thanks for that information. Dallas is planning to play most of their play. I would think so. I mentioned that at the beginning here. I think that Dallas wants to get some momentum going. They just won a game after losing 7, 8 in a row. They want to get themselves going. So they want to go into the playoffs in a winning note. And I think the same thing is to be said about Phoenix too. They were struggling here late, and now they have won, I think, 3 games in a row or so. So they want to keep that momentum going. I think they may want to play those girls a little bit longer. If you got, again, like I said the last time, as far as a live video, man, I would appreciate you guys. I really would appreciate you guys. I see that we got about 48, 49 people here watching, discussing the slate. I mean, I would appreciate you guys drop a like on the live stream. I mean, it would definitely help my channel. I really, really, really would appreciate that. So if you guys kindly don't mind, please just smash that like button, and I would appreciate that very much. Kelsey Mitchell. Well, Kay Mitch is in play. I mean, I think she's in play here. I mean, she didn't play a ton of minutes yesterday. I mean, she didn't play well. Let's put it that way. When she was on there, I mean, she only played 11 minutes yesterday. So Kay Mitch is definitely a player that we should be looking at. Absolutely. Only 9 points and 11 minutes. She only played 11 minutes yesterday. I know she didn't play a whole lot of minutes. I didn't even know it was that low. I thought she at least plays 15 or 16. She only played 11 minutes. Chances are Kelsey Mitchell will get some time today. They'll probably give Victoria Vivians a little bit of a break, even though she's a rook. But Vivians takes tons of shots. She missed a lot of threes yesterday. And I had her in some of my lineups. She did okay. She still put up close to 30 fantasy points, but she played massive minutes. I mean, she played, 45 minutes, 46 minutes, 47 minutes, and put up 29 fantasy points. I mean, you definitely would love to see a little bit more. What I like is she didn't turn over any balls, but it would be great to see her get some more assists and maybe, get a couple more steals. But she's a shooter, man. She's a shooter. So I think Kelsey Mitchell is a shooter too, 3-point shooter. She is definitely someone you can definitely consider, JT. Definitely. What's up, Daryl? Just finished sweating out the LA Connecticut game. So how did that game go? I did not tune into that game at all, man. I've been in and out. James says, thanks, JT. I love you guys too, man. James Perkins, the Atlanta Dream players will be low-owned, nobody on them. Possibly. I already told you I like Williams a lot in this game, and I also like Alex Bentley for Atlanta. Those are my 2 plays there for Atlanta. I definitely like Bentley in the backcourt, and I like Elizabeth Williams, E-Will in the front. James says there are no resting players. This is not the NBA. Well, yeah, I know, but you just when you see numbers like Breanna Stewart 7,900 and she's been putting up 50 plus in the last few games, you think she will be at 85, 86, 8,700 for today, and she's only 7,900. That is, that's definitely something. Something's up there. I said, man, either they're baiting us in to take Breanna at that price, which they already got me there. But I'm also, thinking, hey, you know what? This may be a little sneaky play in getting us in there, and then next thing you know, she's only playing 20 minutes. Okay, Atlanta needs to win, or Washington lost to lock up. Okay, all right, so that's even better. So that means that Atlanta is going to play to win, and Washington and Minnesota are going to battle. So maybe those are the games to target. I was thinking Dallas and Seattle will be a good game to target, and I was thinking Washington and Minnesota early on this morning. So I still think those 2 are in play. But Atlanta needing to play hard, hey, Atlanta needs to go out there and play hard. That might be a game to target. Atlanta players may be a good bet. Like I said, I love Bentley, and I definitely love Elizabeth Williams in this matchup. What's going on, T-Dot? What's up, Nate? Fowles, yes. Yeah, I love Sylvia Fowles today. Too cheap. She's putting up massive numbers as of late, and she's just too cheap for me. I mean, Sylvia Fowles, 8,100. I mean, come on. Look at Maya Moore, 7,500. She has more upside than Latoya Sanders, and Sanders is, she's pretty solid. I think, like I said a little while ago, if you guys who just tuned in, I mean, Sanders could be a sneaky play here today. She only played way back when she wasn't even a part of the rotation against Minnesota in the second game, which was way back in June 6th, 7th, or 8th. And she played only 15 minutes and put up 17 fantasy points off the bench. So look for that. If Washington wants to win this game, they're going to need some battling up front. And Miss Latoya Sanders is part of the rotation now. She's a starter. I could see her having a fairly good game here. She's capable of getting you more than 1 fantasy point per minute. And she's capable of getting you 40 plus, so she'd be able to smash value. Daryl Parker, good question. What about Whalen last game in Minnesota? That's a possibility, but I mean, I tell you something. If Washington is winning this game by a few, I would say Washington's winning this game by 10, 15 points. So it's out of reach. I could probably figure Whalen will probably get some minutes. I just don't see her getting a ton of minutes in this game. I think they're ready to send her off. What else we have? The Shields or Tolliver? Frank, I always loved the Shields. I love Tolliver's, grittiness, competitiveness is really good. The Shields is just so slashy. She to me is, with Asia Wilson, the best two rookies this year that came into this league from the collegiate ranks. And she was the third player drafted in the draft. She's the third pick overall, and she is playing like she is definitely deserves to be in this league and be a number one pick. So yeah, Diamond DeShields, Tolliver, that's a toss-up for me. Considering that Indiana and Chicago play yesterday and Washington needs a game today, I'd rather go with Washington and Tolliver, even though she's just what, $100 more? I think she's just $100 more. Yeah, she's only Diamond DeShields is 64 and no, actually, yeah, $100 more Tolliver. Yeah, I mean, that's a pick 'em, but I will go Tolliver just simply because Washington needs to win, and she's going to need to play well, and she has an advantage against Minnesota. No matter how well Minnesota's played in the backcourt, it's going to be tough, at least in my opinion, to handle Tolliver and Natasha Cloud, who is very, very gritty and tough too. I mean, Cloud is a ball player, so I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how they handle that Augustus and Whalen and company. All right. Yeah, this is Lindsay Whalen's last game in the WNBA, Devin. Yeah, I think that's what you're basically saying. Yes, that's true. Gary says, "Do we skip the New York Phoenix game?" I don't think so, man. I'll be honest with you. I got two lineups where I have Taurasi and Griner in my lineup. I'm hoping New York keeps the game close and Phoenix plays with their players the entire game. And Phoenix has a tendency throughout the whole year that even if the games are fairly close or they have a 10, 12-point lead, Taurasi still gets tons of minutes. So does Griner. They keep playing. And they play all the way through the four quarters. So, and considering that Phoenix wants to keep the momentum going, they've won 3 in a row. They really want to win a fourth game here, win it convincingly. I can see those girls playing 30 to 32, 33 minutes. And that's pretty much all you need from Taurasi and from Griner to get some good fantasy points from them, because they have been really, really good against this team. So I think that it's not a game you fade, at least in my opinion. Tim, you say Kelsey Bone is starting? Well, I don't know. If they start her, that is terrible for Carolyn Swords. I would think Carolyn Swords is the one who will be playing. I'm not sure. If they do that, I mean, we don't even know what the hell's going on with Las Vegas. Maybe something's wrong with Swords if she's going to come off the bench. Got some three-point shooters to look out for today. I mean, as far as three-point shooting, the worst team in the slate as far as defending the three. And there's quite a few teams in that 35% range. I mean, Chicago is in that range. Phoenix is in that range. But New York is not big on threes, so you can't really gauge that. Chicago, Indiana, we know Chicago is good three-point shooting. Indiana, defends at 34%, so they're kind of even there. The difference here is really here. Vegas, it gives up 35%, but Atlanta doesn't have big three-point shooters, and Atlanta is very good defending threes. They're the best in this slate. So it's definitely not an advantage for Las Vegas, because Las Vegas only have 2 three-point shooters, so we can't even gauge that. Wow. Yeah. Well, thanks for that, Tim. Putting that up here on the chat box. Yeah, I mean, so it looks like Miss K Bone is gonna be starting up in the front court for Las Vegas, and Caroline Swords is coming off the bench. I don't have Caroline in my lineups, but I did mention in the video earlier that I thought she would be a valid play at 4,300. They really need some people up front against Atlanta. I mean, Breland and Elizabeth Williams is crazy. I guess they just figured that Bone has a little bit more size, and maybe is a little bit more athletic. I would think that's what the coach is thinking, to start with Asia Wilson and her up front and having her start at center, because these girls are long and they are very athletic, and that's the thing here. And Caroline Swords is not as fast. So maybe that's the reasons why. Maybe they want just a little bit more weight on the court. I don't know. But we'll see how that pans out. We don't know if that's going to be lights out as far as Bone having a heck of a game. But at 3,000 and she's starting, hey, you want to take a stab at her, she is bare minimum. KB is bare minimum, $3,000. Yeah, she's a fouler. That's no doubt. Carolyn Swords has that issue. She gets into foul trouble, and or maybe they just. I look at it as, if I'm coaching, I'm looking at it as like, hey, you know what? We'll be a lot more. We're gonna have to be a little more athletic. Swords is not as athletic. She's not as quick. She's a little telegraphic with her, her putbacks and stuff like that. She's probably gonna get smacked around a little bit and get a lot of blocks are gonna be put on her. Maybe that's what they're thinking, and it's not a bad way to think. But I mean, hey, again, I won't be on Bone, but that is, if you want to take anybody want to take a stab on Bone at 3,000, opens up some more value somewhere else. If she can get in there and get 15, 16, 17 minutes and give you 10 fantasy points, that may be enough to still get you up in the GPP standings, if you are able to use that saved money and pay up somewhere else and get yourself a stud. So that might be a possibility for you guys. Okay, James asked before. I missed you, James, there. You said you asked, does Tina Charles ball out her last game of the season? Well, man, she's had a couple. She's had a little bit of the back issue, and she hasn't looked good. I'm not on her today. I mean, she is a viable play. She put 24 and came back after being out one game with I think she had back spasms or something with the back. But she played some minutes. 37. He only got 30. I don't know. I mean, she can. I mean, that's no doubt about it. Phoenix is not the greatest defending team up front. They're one of the better ones. They're, I think, in the top 5 or 6 this year. So I mean, that's for certain. So they're going to be a little tough there. But without, remember, Griner and Bonner are the key components in the front. Because Ms. Little and Ms. Robinson, they did so terribly that since Stephanie Talbot has been doing so well as a guard and playing the 3, they have elected to stay with Stephanie. So I mean, Stephanie plays massive minutes. She could be a viable play too, but not too much upside with her price and with the minutes. It'll be great. I always preach minutes are important, but when you're getting sufficient minutes and you're not putting up enough fantasy points on a consistent basis, that definitely draws me off. So how many of you guys, now that I have you here, before I close and wrap this up and let everybody finish up their lineups and so on, obviously the end of the WNBA season is here. I'll be doing NFL and NBA, which I've mentioned several times before. How many of you out there that normally that have been following me since the WNBA season? I don't know how many of you have been following me since the NBA season when I first started back in late March, early April. How many of you guys will be playing NFL and will be following along at DFS Zone for that? Yes, James. Tina Charles is everything for the New York Liberty. So yeah, I mean, she's definitely in play. Do I think she's a better play than Griner today? No. I like Griner a lot better. I like Phoenix a lot better. Tim for sure. Most def serve. Okay, cool. Cool, Fred. Yeah, because all that is coming up next. Now with the WNBA season wrapping up, the playoffs, I will be covering some playoffs. I will, if there's 2-game slates, I will have a first look video early in the day and then possibly a live show in the evening. I'll continue to do that, but when it's a single game slate, chances are maybe not at all. If I am able to squeeze in a live show for a single game slate like I did yesterday and not do a video and just come on and do a live show, I'll do that during the course of these playoffs here now. But I'm right now preparing myself for the NFL. I'm looking over the actual games for the first 2 or 3 games of the season and getting an idea, and I'll be ready to go when that time comes. There will be a video for that once a week, and there will be a live show for the NFL once a week. I believe once a week. Who knows? Maybe me, I'll probably do twice a week because I have a whole week to prepare and look over things for the NFL. So that's going to open up the doors for maybe even a show or two a week. We'll see. Thanks a lot, Devin. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, that's all right, James. It's preseason, man. It's preseason. I'm a Jet fan, and, we 1-1, so, I mean, the other day we couldn't stop the Redskins for 1 minute. I mean, it's totally ridiculous, to win a preseason game. I mean, we're up by 2, and we can't freaking get a stop. So it's crazy, but, I mean, that's how it is. Fred Harris, Green Bay fan. All right, Jason, cool, man. I appreciate that, man. I'm gonna continue to bring the best possible advice for you guys, and we'll learn from one another. There's things that I've learned from you guys as well, and from others that I listen to in the DFS community. So we'll keep it going, that's for sure. All right, so I guess everybody, we're good to go, man. 47. So I hope, man, I appreciate, again, like I said before, man, I appreciate you guys dropping a like on the videos, especially the live streams, because they definitely help with my rankings, all the algorithms and all that with YouTube and Google and all that. Just in case you guys don't know, I mean, that is always important for us that put in the time to, do some videos on here and share them with you guys. And I'll continue to do that no matter what, but I mean, I would definitely appreciate the likes. And if you have the first time ever here, please subscribe, because we got a lot of stuff still coming our way. I am NFL. I'm gonna have the strategies video coming up in the middle of the week, and like I said, I'm gonna go over I'm gonna do a video where I'm gonna discuss what I think of possibly some players who we should be looking at for the NFL season. And I'll be doing the same thing also when the NBA begins, and then we'll be off and running. What I think about Stephanie Dawson today, Jason, man, not much, man. I mean, yesterday, she really did not play that well. I mean, Natalie Achanwa just was all over it. But again, it's a new day. Anything can happen. I think she is at a good price. 5,400. I mean, you can't go wrong. I think Cheyenne Parker, just because of the physical play, she's not such a physical player. She usually just stays back in the wing and around the perimeter and looks for easy shots and shoots the occasional three. Cheyenne Parker, obviously she's $600 more, and it's for physicality is the reason why. And against this matchup here, she's the kind of girl you really need up front. So I would probably be more on Parker than Dawson today. But she's in play 5,400. You could take a stab at her. I just don't think. I'd rather pay $700 more and take a Chanwa if she plays more than 25 minutes today. I mean, but she played so many minutes yesterday, and she put up so much pan. She put up like a 53 spot or something like that. That's a pretty busy day for Natalie Achanwa yesterday. So I don't know. I'm leaning towards not getting too involved with anybody in the Chicago Indy game. I kind of like the other games a little bit more, simply because they did play 50 minutes yesterday. They played the 40 minutes, and they played an additional 10 more minutes of overtime. Hey, you're welcome there, Doug. I appreciate you, man, for coming on board and listening to me, and obviously interacting with the rest of us here in the community here at DFS Zone. I appreciate all of you, man. So thanks a lot. There's no problem, and if I can be able to come on here and do a live stream, I'll be. If I'm able to do it, I'm gonna be willing to do it. All right, guys, man. So we got about 10 minutes until game time. I'm going to definitely make 2 or 3 changes in 2 or 3 lineups that I did not do up to this point. One of them was the one that I had here when I first started. Don't go into what I just had here. That was my first look earlier, me just throwing some stuff together. So don't go ahead and just go ahead and play that lineup. But if you like it and you feel good about it, go right ahead. And if you do and you end up winning, then let me know, because maybe I see there that looking at it, I was going to definitely make at least 2 changes to that. So, but that's pretty much it, man. All right, guys. All right, man. Good luck. Everybody have a great Sunday. Again, man, drop a like, man. If you're here for the first time, please subscribe. And of course, share the videos, man. Share it with other people that may be starting DFS, especially NFL. You know, I'll be more than happy to keep teaching as many people as possible and helping out as many of us as possible. Remember, there's a lot of sharks out there. And they have a lot of money, and we want to take some of that money. All right, guys? All right, ladies and gentlemen, have a great Sunday, man. Good luck tonight. And right now, I don't know what the playoff schedule looks like. There's nothing posted up on the WNBA. But like I said, you will at least get 2 more videos from me this week pertaining to NFL. So let's start prepping for that. But, of course, the next slate that is at least 2 games for the WNBA. If there's 2 playoff games in one night, I will definitely have a first look video earlier in the day, and then of course we will do a live show in the evening. All right, I'll keep you guys posted. And if you have not become a member of the Facebook group, do that. Okay, Facebook group, just go to DFS Zone and ask to request to be in the group, and I will definitely allow you to come right in. All right, guys. All right, man. Everybody, peace out.